What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Mountaineer Ramble. We're here at the Flock of Birds production studio with Mr. Avon Cobourne. How you doing, brother?
Blessed by the best, man.
Hey, man, that's what's up. I mean, it's been a while since I seen you, and you was over in Canada for a little while. Now you're back in West Virginia, man.
Absolutely. Made my way back.
Hey, welcome back, man.
I appreciate it.
Well, I've always heard for the longest time, people leave West Virginia, but they always come back.
Hey, you know what? I always knew I would retire here, so.
Hey, was you singing country roads when you came home?
No, but I mean, it's always in there. It's always in there.
Just dying to get out.
Yeah.
Man, we appreciate you coming on. We're going to ask you a few questions, kind of see what's going on with you these days, if that's cool, man.
Hey, let's get it done.
All right. So since you left the Mountaineers and went off to, play in the CFL and the NFL, the Mountaineers have gone to the Big 12 and essentially done away with a lot of the big WVU rivalry games.
Mm-hmm.
The Pitts, Virginia Techs, Marshall, Penn State, Miami. How do you feel about that? Do you think that they kind of hurt themselves getting rid of the rivalry games?
I don't necessarily know if they hurt themselves with the rivalry games, but I feel like it's a little bit tougher to recruit. Can't say that either, because if you want to play football, you want to play football. It don't matter. But as far as it's tougher on the students having to go to Texas as opposed to going to Boston College,
right,
having to go to Florida, or going all the way out to Kansas as opposed to just going up the street to Pittsburgh. So
yeah.
I think it's a little tougher on the students as far as the travel wise, but on the other side of it, I think the students also get an opportunity to see different places.
Right.
You know what I mean? Would I prefer to go to Kansas? No, I prefer to stay on the East Coast.
Kansas, they barely got a football program, but we're not going to go into that.
Right, it's a basketball school.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Hey, they're going to turn it around this year. I got a feeling.
Who?
Kansas.
Right.
Nah, probably not. But we are playing Virginia Tech up here this year. That's going to be awesome. I'm excited about that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time we beat them, you were on the squad, wasn't you?
No, actually, it was we beat them the year before.
Okay,
we beat them the year before, and then they beat them again the year after at home. So we beat them in Virginia Tech, and then they came to Mountaineer Field, and we beat them again.
Yeah.
But my last time we played them, we was at Virginia Tech.
Okay, so we're also going to play a home and home with them in 2021 and 2022, and then we get to do Pitt 4 games, 2022 to 2025, and Penn State 2003 to 2004. So I'm personally glad to see them throw it back in there, and I seen the other day Shane Lyons, the new athletic director at WVU. Somebody was asking him about Marshall on the football schedule. He's like, "What about old Marshall on the football schedule?"
They're not necessarily where they need to be to kind of play us. So if we were lose to them, somebody gets hurt. We don't want to have that on our conscience. So I mean, if they're a little bit better, we'll play. But there's no reason to play.
I was tore up last year. Me and my buddies on the show, we talked about it a lot last year. But CBS Sports did an article, best football programs in each individual state, and they had Marshall out of West Virginia. How you tell me that?
That's why That's why I don't watch CBS Sports. You don't know what they're talking about.
They was drinking old Jim Jones's Kool-Aid or something. I don't know what they're doing.
I was with Coach Jones the other day. He's a funny guy.
Yeah,
man. He's a funny guy. He's a real good guy too.
You still hold the all-time leading rushing record at WVU with 5,164 yards on 1,050 carries. That's a lot of carries, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of touches. Definitely.
That's a lot of touches. Don Nehlen made you work for it, though, didn't he?
He sure did. And so did Rich Rod. He didn't let up either.
Yeah, we'll get into those two comparisons here shortly.
He didn't let up either.
Prior to you becoming the starter in Morgantown, I'm pretty sure it was before you even got there, Amos Zerway broke the all-time career rushing record in Morgantown. Was you aware of that, and did you have any kind of thing in your mind saying, I'm going to go out there and I'm gonna run all over these fools for the next 3 or 4 years, and I'm gonna beat their record?
You know what? It's crazy because I would, before I came to WVU, I came up for like 3 or 4 games because my coach played he didn't play, but he coached at WVU as a GA before he went to Navy and somewhere else.
Okay.
So we had a couple guys from my high school actually go to WVU. So we had about 4 guys that go from my high school to WVU, and I would go up and we would hang out, and Amos would come over, and it was crazy because when he came over, I was like, I'm gonna beat all your records. I said it confidently,
right.
Not necessarily knowing. I didn't even know if I was going to WVU.
Now you said this out loud, or you was thinking it?
No, I said it out loud to him. I said it out loud. I mean, I was a junior in high school. You know what I mean?
Right. You ain't
even in college yet. You know what I mean? You ain't even made it to college. You get to college before you start talking stuff like that. And I mean, just crazy, man. It's crazy how when you say some things, naturally that things start working out in that way. That okay, I said it. I said it as a college kid. A high school kid, confident, knowing that if I did play, I would do it. But I never really thought I would do it because I didn't even know if I was going to West Virginia.
Right. It was just one of them things like, I'm going to get you.
Right. Like, they was like, yeah, here he is. And I mean, I was an older guy. He was awesome. You know what I mean?
He was amazing.
He was probably the best that I've seen in person. And I was like, man, I'm going to be better than him. I mean, I said it cocky.
You ain't counting watching yourself, though, right?
No, I don't count myself. But, no, he was definitely a beast, man. And for me to see that guy and to see what he does and see what he did and see how big he was and he was a good back, man. He was a really, really good back. He was a really good back.
He was. You were not too shabby yourself, my friend.
No, I appreciate it. I worked hard.
Honestly, though, you'll probably agree with me. You were different backs. You really were. I mean, you always got different styles of football players. You got your short, fast Avons of the world, and then you got your tall Kevin Whites of the world. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I know. Have you talked to Amos since you broke the record?
I mean, I talk to him often. Yeah, I mean,
you ever talked about it and throw it up like, yeah, I got you?
No, because it's. I mean, I think I still would have got him because he only stayed for 3 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? I stayed for 4. So I mean, I would have still got him, but what I mean, he would have had more yards for me to get. I mean, I know for a fact I would have still got him, but he only stayed for 3 years. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he had like 4,000.
I'll tell you what, very rarely you'll see people stay for 4 years anyway.
Right.
Well, I don't know how it was back then, but I know these days you very rarely see that.
He was good. I mean, he got drafted third. I didn't get drafted. I was a free agent, so what I mean, he had a lot more talent than I had, but I worked harder than he did. So it kind of equaled out in that respect. You know what I mean? He was super. He was fast. He was super. He was talented. You know what I mean? He did some things that not many people can do, but. You know what they say, hard work beat talent when talent don't work hard.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? He had a lot of things going for him, but one of the things I had was a work ethic that wasn't comparable. You know what I mean? Nobody can say they outworked me in anything.
That's cool. I mean, you get in the grind. I mean, right. like you said. I mean, it don't matter how good this guy is. If he's working as hard as you, right. Yeah, he might want to up you.
Right, but he's not going to do it.
No, exactly.
He's not going to do it. So.
I mean, the majority of people, they don't want to work for it. They just want it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it on the football field. I'm good. Right. I got this. I ain't got to do those. Yeah, I mean, I ain't got to come in.
That's what separated me from everybody else, because when people quit, I was always doing one more. When that person gave up on that play, I was always in their chest making a play, making a block, doing something to separate myself from everybody else.
That's what it takes, man. So in 2006, you went to the Canadian Football League after you went to Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you was there for a couple seasons?
2 years, yep.
Did some special team work with them, right?
Yep, special teams. Played a couple games. I don't know. I was young. I was young and immature. I didn't understand that. I never bid my time or.
You was hungry.
I always played. Like I never was a backup to anybody ever in my life. And for me to be a backup, I couldn't. It was a
different kind of sensation.
I was immature. So for me, it wasn't about the money. It was about playing.
Right.
And when that opportunity presented itself for me to go somewhere else, I took it because I was like, I can't be nobody's backup. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, unless you Amos Airway or Barry Sanders, I can't be your backup. I just can't. So, I said, I'm gonna take my talents to South Beach. So I went to South Beach and was there for the summertime. And they were like, yeah, you want to party too much. You can't be here. So I learned from that as well. Because I went from South Beach to Montreal.
Went to play up for the Alouettes?
Alouettes.
Yeah.
If you ever been to Montreal, you would understand that is South Beach without a beach.
Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you get some time to travel a little bit, if you want to go to Canada, to go to somewhere a little bit exotic, you go to Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've been through Canada one time. We kind of dipped up, come back through. I didn't get to stick around and check it out.
Right.
But you went to the Alouettes, and you had a pretty good career out there, actually doing some linebacker work out there.
Absolutely. It's
and
crazy. Huh?
That's pretty cool. Did you play linebacker in high school? I mean, or was it
my freshman year was the only time I've ever played defense.
Is that right?
Only time until I was my fourth year as a professional.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Never played defense. Well, Pop Warren, I played defense.
How did that come up? Did they just say, "Hey, we want to try you at linebacker"? Or
I was a special teams player.
I'll try. Okay.
I was a special teams player, and they said, "Look, in order for you to make this team, you gotta do linebacker." And I'm like, "What?"
Wait, I'm not a linebacker. You got the back part right.
Hold on. Do you know my resume? Like, you want me to play linebacker? But I was a beast on special teams. So, the year before, I led the team in kickoff return yards, punt return yards, and special teams tackles.
Okay.
So, I did it all on special teams. So, with that, they were like, look, you're our best special teams player. We don't want to let you go. We're bringing somebody in to be a running back. They're like, you don't actually have an opportunity to compete at all. So, either you go on defense or you're going to get cut. So I said, all right, I'll try it.
2006 to 2012, he was in the Canadian Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Made the All-Star squad 3 different times.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question. You talked about them bringing in a running back. I don't know if it was this particular year.
Mm-hmm.
But how did it feel playing on the same team with rival Miami's Jarrett Payton?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, how did it feel when you took his job in 2008? When he took that starting running back job.
You know what? How did it feel to play with him? I didn't care.
What a thing at that point.
It wasn't. I mean, at the end of the day, like end of that year, I ended up being the starting running back. The year that they said I wasn't going to play,
right?
In the playoff game, I ended up playing.
Okay.
So I mean, I was it was like 8 backs in front of me, and then I played defense, and then I ended up playing in a playoff game.
Okay.
So and then the next year we competed for the spot, and I only had 2 goals. My only 2 goals.
He said,
"Yeah, that's it. Only 2 goals. I said I wanted to be the starter, and I wanted to win the MVP of the Grey Cup game." So
and you got that too, right?
Yeah, but I didn't get it that year. I didn't get it that year, but I did win. I did win the job. Yeah, absolutely. I came. It was just a matter of time. I mean, I knew. It's different when you hungry and you're a millionaire. When your dad leaves you millions and you got maybe $70,000-$60,000, who's gonna work harder? Right. The person that wants it more.
Right.
So it was no comparison when it came down to it, because I worked that year, the winter of 2008 going into the spring. There was nobody in the country that worked harder than me that year. Because I can't say that, because me and Larry Foote, we worked out together. Larry Foote
push each other.
He was a beast. So
yeah.
I got to give him, like, he pushed me. He pushed me pretty good. But me and him and it was crazy. Like it was a good.
Well, sometimes at least for me personally, I've found through the years, a little bit of friendly competition is great.
No, you need competition.
You gotta have.
Without competition, you can't That's what I used to tell my players. Without friction,
I'm the guy. That's it.
Without friction, you're never going to grow. Like, your team can never be great if you keep the status quo the way it is.
Right.
There has to be friction in everything that you're doing. Like, just like the stock market, it goes up and goes down. The down is the friction, and then what happens? It goes back up. Yeah. So you got to have friction for any type of growth to happen.
We having a science class,
right?
Yeah,
right. I went leadership times science just right there. So I mean, and that's what has to happen. So without competition, you can't get better at what you're doing.
That's true.
Because you'll never know where you are unless you're competing against somebody.
You just get complacent where you at. Like, right. All right, here I'm good.
Like, you can work hard as you want.
My boys here at RVK Raspy Voice Kids. You guys haven't seen them yet. Check them out. I got this shirt off of them here a couple weeks ago, Mountain Greer. But they had a poll recently, and what we were just talking about reminded me of it. The poll was something along the lines of who was the best wrestler of all time. I had like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold, and somebody else. But that brings me to this point. We talked about the competition.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch wrestling a lot in the 90s. I don't know if you did or not. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure some of you guys out there did. But you had WCW and you had WWF.
Mm-hmm.
And both shows were phenomenal. I mean, it was entertaining, great wrestling. They'd all the time trying new stuff. And then after a while, WWF bought WCW. So now WWF is the only king of the mountain. And it's been that way for the last 10, 12 years, 15 years. And the product's stale because there's nobody pushing against them, making them get out the box. You know
Absolutely
what I mean?
right.
You got to have it.
I mean, because you said it right. Everybody's going to stay in that box. Nobody wants to try nothing new. You know what I mean? And that's basically the biggest thing. You have to take your game to the next level. You know, especially when you're trying to grow.
In 2014, you started coaching the running backs for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, and for 2 years, and then you went to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say it's harder to prepare for a game as a player or as a coach?
I would say as a coach.
Yeah,
it's definitely harder as a coach.
I imagine there's a lot more because when you're playing, you got one assignment. I mean, you know what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, unless you're playing multiple positions, but if you're coaching, you gotta. I mean, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely hard as a coach because you can't necessarily. I mean, you still do as unless you're an offensive coordinator, and that's kind of how, you know, the way I do things. You don't necessarily just be who you are. Like I'm a running back coach, but I'm preparing to be an offensive coordinator. So you don't just prepare. If you do that, then if you're just going to be a running back coach, that's great. Do that.
Well, let's go back to what we was just talking about. You got to strive for greatness.
Right. Yeah.
Look for that next level.
So for me, it was always trying to be a little bit more than what I wanted to know why the coach called that play. I wanted to know why the coach, you know, in that situation, why he did what he did. So for me, it was a lot more studying to learn what he does as opposed to learn. Because I mean, being a running back is easy. You know what I mean? It's easy, especially if you have good instincts. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing about being a running back. Preparing as a player, you know, it's funny because I didn't even know half of the stuff I needed to know. I just knew my plays, and I didn't really care what nobody else did. You know,
Just give me the ball. Just give me the ball.
That's it. Just, you know, I would know what the defense, know what fronts they run, know what the line, know my linebackers that I'm playing against, and then just let God take care of the rest. You know what I mean? Okay, they're in the 30 front. I know the hole's gonna be a little bit wider. Oh, they're in the 4 down front. Oh, I know it's going to be tighter. So, you know, for me, that's the only thing I really, really needed to know as far as the defense that we playing and the linebackers, you know, how good they were, if they were fast or not, you know, if I can push them, that type of thing. But as a coach, you have to understand that you got to get your players to know that.
Right.
And that it's easier when you do it because everybody's not Avon. Everybody don't think like me. Everybody doesn't have the same mindset because their talents are different. I knew what my limitations was, so I knew what I had to do better. You know what I mean? Amos, I'm pretty sure he didn't know as much as he needed to know as far as defensive fronts and that type of thing because he was fast. You know what I mean? He was big, he was stronger. So there was certain things you don't necessarily worry about when you have certain qualities. And for me, I was more of a student because I knew my limitations. I knew I wasn't gonna go 90 yards. But I mean, I know I wasn't gonna go 80, but I'm gonna give you what 10-40 or 8-40s. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you 8-10s, 10-yard runs.
Speaking
you know what I'm saying?
Speaking of 80-90, I can't remember what year it was or even which squad you was on at the time, but I was reading today that you ran like 10-yard missed field goal back for a touchdown.
Oh yeah, that was in Canada.
I bet that was wild, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh, look what I got! I'm gone.
Because I mean, it was crazy because it was in the end zone, and it's crazy how they do that. And I was always good at like making people miss, but I just never could finish. But then that year, it was the year of 2007, when they told me to go to linebacker. I started working on my longer speed game with Mike Barwitz, and you know, I mean, it kind of changed the way I did some things so that I could my hamstrings would last a little bit longer. So, but that's the thing, you know, doing that running that long is different. You know what I mean? Because I've never, the longest run I've ever had was 60 yards as far as, you know, professional.
Right.
I mean, not professional, but college.
Right.
I mean, high school, you know, you go 80, 90 all the time.
Yeah.
That's different, but you know, when you run against people that can run just as fast as you
got to go.
Yeah, so it's a different game on that side of it.
Back to the coach a little bit, Avon. How was the transition from Nehlen to Rodriguez?
It was a tough transition. Not for me because I'm and I don't want to. Well, I am. I was very coachable. I'm a very coachable person because I know if I do everything he asks me to do and I don't do it well enough, it's not my fault. It's their fault.
Right.
I'm doing everything you ask me to do.
Right.
So I'm very coachable. So what happens is in the transition, you got coachable people and you have uncoachable people. And the people that's not very coachable, who are my good friends, got the raw deal because they didn't want to do everything this man asked them to do. And all you got to do is just do what he asks you to. He's running the show. You know what I mean? It's just like having a job. If you don't do what he say, you get fired. And now you got to run your own business. So I was coachable, but it was a tough transition for my teammates. You know what I mean? A lot of people transferred. A lot of people didn't play as much as they should have played. But at the end of the day, you got to do what the boss asks you to do.
You got to. I mean,
so with that, the first year, 2001 was a tough year. I think we went 3-8, and it was humiliating. Coming off of the year where we went to a bowl game, we got pretty much everybody back, and to have a type of season like that, but it had a lot to do with him. Putting square pegs in round holes. Not trying to bend on his philosophy, but then at the same time, it had a lot to do with the players as well. Because at the end of the day, the coaches really can't lose a game unless, they call a play in the waning moments of the game that can take it out of a player's hands. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So with that, he was just it was a hard transition because there's a lot of players that kind of got I can't say they got a bad deal, but they didn't do everything they were supposed to do, and they ended up on the wrong side of Rich Rod. So, it hurts in that respect. But, you got to understand.
It's a great example for, becoming an adult, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You're not always going to like change, but it's inevitable.
It's going to happen.
You just got to roll on with it.
Keep doing when you don't, things happen. I mean, somebody's going to bend and somebody's going to break.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And normally the person
somebody going to play, somebody going to transfer.
Right, that's it. You either going to do what he say or you ain't going to play.
Well, let me ask you this. This might be kind of tough for you to answer. Which coach did you learn more from, Don Nehlen or Rich Rodriguez?
I learned a lot from both. You know what I mean? Because Coach Nehlen was at the end of his career, so he was a lot more cerebral than Rich Rod was. Rich Rod was a lot more in your face, a lot more not necessarily. I didn't learn a lot as a person from Rich Rod. I learned business from Rich Rod as opposed to Coach Nehlen. I learned more as a person because when you're at the end, you're not all rah rah. Yeah. It's more laid back, and I want to teach you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When somebody's just coming into it and has to do numbers, has to produce, it's business. So you understand that there's a business side to the game that most people don't necessarily understand. It's business. If you don't win, you lose. So it kind of leads me to the point of what they're doing now as far as getting a lot of junior college transfers as opposed to developing young talent. They don't have time to do it because if you don't develop young talent, you know what I mean, or if the talent that you bring in doesn't develop, you lose. So they're like, I'm just going to bring people in that's already been doing it. Crawford, you know what I mean? Transferred, come in and killing it. You know what I mean? And that's what they do now. That's what a lot of programs do because they don't want to develop anybody because they're risking losing.
Well, I mean, look at Charlie Strong. He went down to Texas, and I'm an advocate for Charlie Strong. I've been a fan of his for a long time. Dude's a great coach.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I don't know him on the personal aspect of things, but from what I've seen on the surface, he's a great coach.
Right.
They give him 3 years in there, and they run him off because they wasn't where they thought they should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I look for him to do big things in South Florida because they're going to be patient with him.
Yeah.
Juggernaut like Texas are like, we had to win right now. We ain't got time for this.
Absolutely.
And Charlie's like, no, I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to build my culture. I'm going to build my program.
Right. That's what you got to. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to build that culture. You got to build it the way you want. And I mean, when the support is not there from the staff, the administration, I mean, there's no way that program's going to survive.
Nope.
I mean, and either again, somebody's gonna bend, somebody's gonna break. So it's business. You know what I mean? That's what most people don't realize, that the football is a business. They love it because they went to school there. That it's their home state, school. They don't understand that it's business. Like
it is.
It's big business,
especially now more than ever. I mean, it is unreal the money that football programs bring to these schools. And if I was on the other end of it, I'd be like, you got to win, or I'm going to get you out of here and get somebody here that can win.
That's it.
And if you're in that position, like we had a big debate last season, is Dana Holgerson on the hot seat? Are they going to get rid of him? Are they going to get rid of him? And I can't remember if it was Jack or Mikey, but one of them said, it don't matter if you're winning, you're always on the hot seat. I mean, you never know when the next best thing is going to come along, and you're going to be looking for a coach.
That's absolutely true.
And look what Rich Rodriguez, when he left and went to Michigan, broke a lot of Mountaineers' hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, probably if he had to do it over again, he'd probably do it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's, like you said, the business aspect of it.
That's what it is.
West Virginia or Michigan. I mean, I can't remember the numbers, but I imagine he got an enormous pay raise when he went to Michigan.
And what I found out was it was not, he left not necessarily because what most people think. He left because they didn't want to pay his coaches.
I heard it was a mixture of that and a mixture of they didn't want to upgrade the facilities and.
I don't know.
That's not into that.
No, that's definitely not.
You know how talk is.
They updated. You see, they updated.
Yeah, they updated now.
So that has nothing to do with it. I think it had everything to do with his coaches. You know what I mean? Pretty much every one of his coaches is with him now. You know what I'm saying? That
Tony Gibson, he's not with him.
Because he wanted to be a D coordinator.
All right.
You know what I mean? They had a D coordinator, Coach Castile, and he wanted to be a D coordinator. So, you got to take risks. You know what I'm saying? If you want to grow, you got to do some things. That's
get outside the box, like we was talking about.
Absolutely.